Are you ready for this? There is a moment in every human being's life that divides their story into two distinct chapters, the before and the after. A moment that doesn't appear marked on any calendar, that no teacher taught in class, that no book has been able to capture with precision, because it is different for each person, unique as a fingerprint, silent as the rising sun. That moment is the day you decide to change everything. And that day doesn't have to be tomorrow. It doesn't have to be on Monday. It doesn't have to be at the beginning of the month, on New Year's, or when conditions are perfect, because conditions will never be perfect. That day can be now. That day is now. You came across this text for a reason. Maybe you're tired. Maybe you're angry. Maybe you have a broken heart, a negative bank balance, an unsatisfying job, a cooling relationship, dreams tucked away in a drawer. Maybe you arrived here with a soul weighed down by everything you promised yourself and haven't yet fulfilled. And that's okay. I need you to know that all of this is okay, as long as you're willing to take the next step. Because it's not about where you come from. It's about where you decide to go from here. The lie you believed for far too long. For years, perhaps decades, someone planted a poisoned seed inside you. It may have been a parent's criticism, a classmate's laughter, a humiliating dismissal, an unexpected betrayal, a defeat you couldn't overcome. And that seed grew in the dark, took root deep down, and one day you woke up believing it was the truth about who you are. You believed you weren't smart enough, that you didn't have enough talent, that you were born in the wrong place, the wrong family, at the wrong time, that opportunities were for other people, that luck never knocked on your door, that you were, somehow, less. That is a lie. And today is the day you stop feeding it. Neuroscience has already proven what the great sages of humanity intuited for millennia. The human brain is plastic, malleable, capable of reorganizing itself at any age. You are not trapped in yesterday's patterns. Every thought you think, every action you take, every decision you make is literally reconfiguring the architecture of your brain. You are not the fixed product of your past. You are the author under construction of your future. Every time you choose a different thought, you are building a new neural pathway. Every time you act despite fear, you are weakening the circuit of paralysis. Every time you get up after falling, you are recording in your nervous system the most powerful message that exists: I am capable. The price of comfort nobody told you about. Here is something most people never stop to calculate: the cost of not changing. It's easy to see the risks of change, the possibility of failure, the discomfort of the new, the uncertainty of the path, the judgment of others, the fear of disappointing. These risks are real, visible, tangible, and our primitive brain amplifies them masterfully to keep us safe inside the cave of mediocrity. But what about the cost of staying where you are? Calculate with me. Every morning you wake up in a job that drains your energy, you are paying with the most valuable currency that exists, your time. And unlike money, that time doesn't come back. Every year that passes without you trying the business you dream of, writing the book you want to write, taking care of the health that is deteriorating, saying the words that get stuck in your throat, each of those years is a debt you are incurring with the best version of yourself. Comfort has a price. And that price is your life. I'm not saying change is easy. I'm saying it is necessary. That the temporary discomfort of transformation is infinitely smaller than the permanent pain of regret. That you can handle the cold outside your comfort zone far better than you imagine, because human beings were made to grow, not to stagnate. Nature teaches us this every day. The caterpillar doesn't choose to metamorphose. It is compelled by its own nature. The tree doesn't ask permission to grow toward the light. The river doesn't give up when it meets the rock. It finds the way. And you, who have the capacity to choose consciously, who have the rare gift of self-awareness, are you going to remain still? Who you need to become. The question is not what you want to achieve. The deeper and more transformative question is, who do you need to become to achieve it? Because results are simply the external reflection of who we are internally. You may have the map to the treasure, but if you don't become the kind of person who has the courage to follow the map, to endure the storms of the journey, to believe the treasure exists even when you can't see it, the map is worthless. Think about the person who already has what you desire. Not with envy, with curiosity. What habits did they cultivate? What mindset do they carry? What level of discipline do they practice in the moments when nobody is watching? What kinds of thoughts do they feed when things get difficult? Now, the revolutionary question: what is stopping you from starting to be that person today? Not tomorrow. Not when you have more money, more time, more support, more conditions. Today. Now. With what you have, where you are. Because identity is not a destination. It is a decision. You don't have to wait to become disciplined before you start acting with discipline. You don't have to wait to become courageous before you start acting with courage. It's exactly the opposite. You act with courage first, and courage develops. You act with discipline first, and discipline becomes part of who you are. Identity is what you practice. And you can start practicing a new identity now. The 5 pillars of real transformation. After years working with people in processes of deep change, I've learned that every genuine transformation rests on 5 fundamental pillars. Without them, today's motivation becomes tomorrow's frustration. With them, yesterday's impossible becomes tomorrow's result. 1. Absolute clarity. You cannot arrive at a place you don't know the location of. The first task of transformation is to be brutally honest with yourself. Where am I now? And where do I genuinely want to go? Not what others expect of you. Not what would be socially approved. What do you, in the silence of your deepest heart, truly want for your life? Write it down. With details. With emotion. Put on paper the life you want 5 years from now with such clarity that you can almost smell it, feel its texture, taste it. When the vision is clear enough, it becomes a gravitational force that pulls you toward it, even on the days when you have no energy to be pulled. 2. Unshakable commitment. There is an enormous difference between interest and commitment. When you are interested in changing, you do it when it's convenient. When you are committed, you do it regardless of circumstances. The difference between people who transform their lives and those who keep talking about transforming is exactly that level of commitment. Commit to the process, not just the result. Commit to the version of who you are becoming, not just the final reward. Because there will be days, and there will be many, when the result seems too far away, the path too long, the effort too great. On those days, it is commitment to the process that will keep you standing. 3. Relentless consistency. The secret that the greats hold is not a supernatural talent or a unique opportunity. It is the compound power of consistency. The person who trains 30 minutes a day, every day, for a year, will easily outperform someone who trains 5 hours once a week. The person who writes 500 words a day will finish a book in less than a year. The person who saves a small percentage of their salary every month will accumulate a fortune that impulsive spending would never allow. Small consistent actions create large inevitable results. This is one of the most powerful principles of the universe, and it is completely within your reach. You don't need to be the most talented. You don't need to have the best conditions. You need to show up every day, even imperfectly, even tired, even without motivation. Show up. 4. Courage to fail. Here is the truth that success culture rarely shows. Every great achievement is buried under a mountain of failures, attempts, mistakes, adjustments, and fresh starts. Those who made it there are not the ones who never fell. They are the ones who refuse to stay on the ground. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is the path to success. Every mistake is a corrected step, a lesson learned, and necessary calibration toward the right route. The greatest danger is not trying and failing. It is not trying and wondering for the rest of your life what would have happened if you had. Have the courage to be a beginner. Have the courage to do it poorly at the start. Have the courage not to know. Have the courage to ask for help. Have the courage to make mistakes in front of others. Because on the other side of that courage is a version of yourself you can barely imagine today. 5. A community of growth. You are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. This is not a motivational saying. It is a proven psychological and social reality. Your mindset, your habits, your ambitions, and your limits are shaped, in large part, by the human environment you are immersed in. If you want to change, you also need to change your circle. Not necessarily abandon those you love, but intentionally expand your access to people who are already where you want to be, who think bigger than you think today, who inspire you instead of pulling you down. Seek mentors. Find communities. Invest in relationships that elevate you. The conversation you need to have with yourself. There is an internal dialogue happening in you right now. There is a voice saying, but my case is different, but you don't know what I've been through, but the circumstances don't allow it, but I'm afraid, but I don't know where to start. Those voices are real. They are human. They are understandable. And you need to listen to them, not to obey them, but to understand them. Because behind every but there is a belief, and behind every belief there is a wound, and behind every wound there is a story you have been telling yourself for far too long. Today is the day to start telling a different story. I'm not asking you to ignore the pain. I'm asking you not to let it have the last word. I'm not asking you to pretend everything is fine. I'm asking you to believe that everything can get better, and that you have something to do with that. You have more power than you think, more resources than you imagine, more resilience than you've tested, and more value than you were taught to believe. The moment is now. Do you know what separates people who change from those who keep talking about changing? A single instant of true decision. Not a perfect plan. Not ideal conditions. Not the approval of others. Just a moment when something inside you says enough, and you choose to act from that place. Maybe that moment is now. Maybe while you read these words something is moving inside you. A spark, a restlessness, a small but real flame. If so, don't put it out. Feed it. Do one different thing today. One small, but real thing. Wake up 30 minutes earlier. Drink more water. Open that file that has been sitting there. Send that message. Make that call. Take that step you've been putting off. It doesn't need to be the big step. It needs to be a step forward. Because this is exactly how every great transformation begins. Not with a heroic, cinematic leap, but with a humble and courageous step in the right direction. And then another. And another. And another. One last word. If nothing else stayed with you from these words, let this remain. You deserve the life you dreamed of. Not as a prize, not as a reward, as the natural consequence of who you are willing to become. You deserve to wake up in the morning with purpose. You deserve to work at something that makes sense. You deserve relationships that nourish you. You deserve health, peace, abundance, and joy. Not tomorrow. Today. The world doesn't need one more person living below their potential. The world needs you, the fullest, most courageous, most whole version of you. It needs what you have to offer when you are at your best. It needs your story of transformation to inspire other stories of transformation. You are not alone on this journey. Millions of people around the planet are exactly where you are right now, at the crossroads between who they are and who they can become. Some will choose the path of change. Others will choose the path of comfort. Only you can choose for yourself. But know this, every time someone chooses to grow, the whole world gets a little larger. Every time someone chooses to transform, a light is lit that can illuminate other paths. Every time someone decides that today is the day, the impossible becomes a little more possible for everyone. So decide. Now. That today is the day. Not the perfect day. Not the easy day. The real, imperfect day, full of fears and possibilities. The only day you have for certain, today. The day you decide to change everything starts now. And you are ready. The longest distance in the world is not between two countries. It is between who you are and who you could be, and it is crossed by a single decision.